All right, I'd like to call our regular village board meeting to order. Please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, please call the roll.
Marevka. Here. Jones. Sluse. Here. Parker.
Here.
Ham. Bowden.
Here. All right. In your packet were minutes from our July 27th, 2020 meeting. And are there any additions or corrections to that? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll motion it.
I'll second.
Been moved by trustee Marevka, seconded by trustee Sluse.
Marevka.
Yes.
Sluse.
Yes.
And Parker.
Yes.
Ham. Nope. Bowden.
Yes.
Sorry.
That's okay. All right, next in your packet is the accounts payable and payroll. The payroll for the pay period ending 7/25/2020 was $48,966.34. Accounts payable, general fund, $26,111.45, and the motor fuel tax fund for $4,500. Total, $30,611.45. Are there any questions on any of the bills? If not, a motion to approve the bills.
Motion.
Second.
Been moved by trustee Parker, seconded by trustee Marevka.
Parker.
Yes.
Marevka. Yes. Sluse.
Yes.
And Bowden.
Yes. All right, public comment or questions? Nobody, okay. Is Aqua on the line?
They are, yes.
Okay, so how are you guys doing today? Aqua? Let me, we got to get you turned up here just a second.
Well, that's as high as they go.
And then speaker.
Yeah. Barely. We could barely hear you.
Is that better?
Say that again. Scream.
Is that better?
No, not really. So why don't we try maybe calling back and see if we can get you on speaker a little, hear you a little better, okay?
Okay, I'll try.
All right, so let's go on with the reports of committees. I'm going to skip you, Amy, while we're
Okay.
dealing with that. Police chief report.
Nothing, sir.
Okay, and as long as we're talking about police, you guys had a committee meeting last week. Wayne, anything you want to report on?
We had myriad items that we talked about. We had talked initially about crime mapping for the village, and we were going to have Will County help us with that, but they've had some turnover in their IT department, so we're waiting for that to all settle down, and then we'll pursue that a little bit more. One of the other things that the chief had talked about were scams in the village, and he said that you could go to the Peatone Police website and see all of that information.
Okay.
That's it.
Chief, the adjudication hearings, we're looking into that. I heard you have a meeting set up this week with,
Next.
Next, the 19th,
Yeah.
is that what I said?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a meeting set up here. You're welcome to come at 10 o'clock to sit in with the
Okay.
teacher. We're going to come over and discuss all the spoke to the village of Crete, that's who they use.
Okay. So just to update the trustees, that we're looking into having our own adjudication hearings for violations that occur in the village, and then working with possibly Beecher and other communities to kind of help pay for this, so that it'll be a lot faster than going to Will County courts to hear these issues. So things like, ordinance violations, building code violations, parking violations, all those kind of things. So we're hoping that it'll be faster and cheaper and easier for everybody involved, but we're kind of exploring that and see how it goes. Okay, so we got Aqua on the line now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So do you want to give us an update on the Corning Street project, please?
Sure. This is Tracy Bowen with Aqua. Update on the Corning Water Main Improvement Project. All of the main west of the railroad has been installed, so we're at about 95% complete on the main installation. We plan to do the tie-in at Route 50 tomorrow. We still have the railroad crossing to do. I believe that revisions have been submitted last week, the latest revisions. So we are still waiting to hear back from them. We will be beginning to do service transfers later in the week or early next week, likely in between Conrad and Dell. So things are still moving along. We still have, quite a bit of work to do, even though 95% of the main is installed. We still have the service transfers to get complete. We are going to also tie into our main and run services to any properties along Corning that are not currently served. That way we don't have to tear up the road again in order to get service to someone should they want that. So yeah, that's my update on Corning.
How many service lines are there that people don't have service?
I believe there might be one property that's
Okay.
not served.
Okay.
And I know we have another property along Railroad, I think it's 201 South Railroad, that we will be providing service to from Corning.
Okay. And so you're confident that by the end of this month, your part of that project will be done?
Yes.
Okay. Any update on the main service line, the trunk line?
Sure. The interconnect project, the urban section, we still have not received the go-ahead from EPA to begin construction. Believe they're waiting on some more information from the chemical loop study. Chemical loop study is actually going very well. We are now testing tank water in both rigs. So we're anticipating to have another meeting with EPA towards the end of August, and hopefully we get some more information then.
Okay. Any questions from the trustees?
If you don't mind, I was just going to add one more thing. We have sent letters to customers that live along Corning, and if they find lead service line, that we will replace them up to the house. So if you do hear, there are some customers that have received that paperwork in the mail, and they did get an automated, we call it Swift Reach, it's like an automated voicemail, kind of explaining that letter. So that went out, the letters went out Thursday, and so did the Swift Reach. So in case there's any questions, it's pretty, we've got a pretty detailed explanation with this, so there may or may not be any questions that come up, but in case there are, go ahead and let us know, and we can try to work through those.
Okay, great. Any other questions from the trustees?
Do they have a rough timeline of EPA approval? Is that like 3 months, 6 months, a year?
Did you hear that question? Do you have any idea, a timeline for the EPA approval of the interconnect?
No, we do not have any idea.
Okay. Fair enough. Thank you.
The village did
Thank
send
you.
a letter
Thank you.
to try to help support the expedited permitting of that interconnect, just a FYI, just so you know that the village did do that. So we would try to avoid some additional delays.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Moving on, village administrator report.
You have it at your, in front of you. It's a little more lengthy than normal, so I wanted just to touch on a few highlights. As you know, in the building department, we have Safe Built as our contracted provider, and I just wanted to point out that we have issued 327 total building permits so far in 2020, as opposed to the same time in 2019, we issued 526. Under that, I just wanted to point out some grants that we've been exploring or have applied for. The CARES grant, I don't know if you've heard us talk about that before. That is the grant that is federal and state funding that has been passed down to Will County to distribute to some local governments. So based on certain criteria, we might qualify for some funding to offset some of the costs we may have expended for COVID-19 expenses. So we're looking at by department, because one of the criteria is that it would apply to expenditures just for COVID expenses, and we're looking at itemizing any expenses that we might have per department, and as soon as an application is available, we want to submit those to the county and see if we can get any reimbursements back to the Village of Peatone. Working on ITEP, and I know we've talked about this at the committee level. I just have some more research that I want to do on this. I would need to update some ordinances for you to look at to allow me to submit the actual application and actually expend the 80-20 match funding. This is for Wilmington Peatone Road sidewalk. So it's a pretty expensive project, and I would need to acquire some right-of-way from the county. It's not our road. And we would need to show in this application, which is extremely competitive, that we fit into like a metropolitan regional organization overall plan, and that we are a transportation project and not just a recreational project. So that is in progress, and I know you've all been very supportive, this board and previous boards, so I'm going to work towards that and bring you some more information going forward. DCEO, we have the sidewalk grant for the ADA compliant sidewalk. We've paid for that up front, and then we get reimbursed back, and that's $119,000. The CDBG grant, block grant that we applied for South 2nd Street. Unfortunately, I got word today that we did not get that grant. Yeah, that was really bad news today for that. The Rebuild Illinois Public Infrastructure Grant, we did apply for that for I-57 interchange improvements in the amount of $3.2 million, and we're just waiting to hear back from that. In code compliance, that position is vacant. It's been vacant since June of 2020. Myself, along with the billing clerk and the police chief, have been trying to cover complaints, any outstanding litigation or any other ongoing disputes that have arisen or that are ongoing. We have had 16 new complaints since June, and just want to point out that an actual complaint does not equate a violation, so research needs to go into that, investigation needs to go into that, and we've been trying to do the best we can to cover the gap that we have. I did interviews last week, and we're going to go forward from there, and I'll keep you informed. Ooh, I need some oxygen. Okay. Just a couple miscellaneous, and I'll move on. I did put this in in front of you, and it's just kind of the conceptual improvements that we would be doing or applying for in our design engineering at I-57. I wanted you to have these because they might end up in the newspaper, so I wanted you to see them here first before you see them in the newspaper. So if you have any questions on those, I can answer. Under miscellaneous, I'm working on different projects, working with the library district, the park district, and the fire district on getting some indemnification agreements executed that goes along with impact fees that you guys have approved some time ago. We finally did get our new phones and our entire system that goes along with the phones upgraded, and they're finally complete here at the Village Hall and out at the new Public Works building. So that was quite a endeavor. So we're really happy that that's finished. Harassment training per state mandate, effective this year by the governor. This is, I've been sending out training modules to everybody, and we're using our insurance liability company. They're providing a platform for us, so it's no cost to us. So most everyone is getting through that. We've had a few glitches, so I appreciate your patience with that as we're getting through that. Collections, we've been working through that for some time, since about July 2019. We have some outstanding balances. After we switched over to billing through Homewood Disposal, we had about 30 outstanding accounts when we made that transition, and we have 3 accounts left, which it was decided we would go ahead and send those to collection agency. So I'll kind of go back to the I-57 plan that we're talking about, kind of with this. Probably need to bring back to you a appropriations ordinance for the design engineering. It was something we just did not plan for. It just something we need to do, and so we'll probably work on that and bring that back to you. Talked to Aunt Martha's. They contacted us, and they have a mobile unit that they're offering at no charge for residents for free COVID-19 testing. So we're going to partner with them and give them a location and a time to be determined where they can offer the community free testing. So with that,
Any questions for the administrator? The only thing I want to say is unfortunately, we were pretty confident that we were going to get that South Street grant for the storm sewer, and that didn't come through, so we've got to come up with a plan B for that. So we'll be discussing that and hopefully coming up with something to help those residents out. They encouraged us to apply again next year, but we'll see what we can do.
I would like to give them an update on the the CMAP
Yep.
priorities plan, but that's okay. We did have our kickoff meeting, and I know that some of you have been getting calls to be interviewed, so I just wanted to go through what they went through with us just briefly. CMAP is the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning, and they're a regional planning that was created back in 2005. They cover a 7-county northeastern Illinois region. Will County is one of them. The Local Technical Assistance Program, that is what we applied for and what we received. So some typical plans in the LTA are the planned priorities reports, which is what we're working on, the PPP, a comprehensive plan, revisions to zoning, other ordinances. So many communities apply for these LTAs, and over the years, we're lucky that we were chosen for this. So our project overview is that we submitted our application back in September 26, 2018, before I started. And the CMAP board approved our PPP in December 2018. Our scope of work was developed with our feedback. And then an IGA was signed in March 30th of 2020. So it's a little bit of a process, but I think it's going to be well worth it. So what is a PPP? They're
PPR, right?
Peatone Priority.
Oh, Peatone, okay.
I just throw the extra P in, but
All
you're
right,
right.
got it.
It's a planning priorities report.
Okay, got
It's
it.
just hard for me to say in this. Evaluating what it is it's evaluating our community's opportunities and assets to determine future projects for growth and development. So what they're doing is evaluating our land use, our municipal services, capital improvements, transportation, freight and transit, economic development, natural and agricultural resources. So those are the core components that they're going to be evaluating. The purpose of this report is to summarize our past, present, and future trends, to prioritize and understand our community needs, and to recommend future initiatives. So the steering committee, composed of 3 members of the community, myself and Dr. March, met on July 29th. And what the role of that steering committee is to facilitate the discussion, support vision crafting, and recommend actionable steps for Peatone to achieve that future growth, redevelopment, and then the implementation of that. So the scope of work is composed of that kickoff, a pre-kickoff work, the project kickoff, the research, stakeholder interviews, and public outreach. And then at that step, then the deliverables begin, and then you will have an outreach summary report and presentation. You will have phase 5 is key recommendations. The deliverable for that will be a memo with potential key recommendations for the community. You'll have a draft priorities report, which is the deliverable. And then the final step is a finalized priorities report for approval by the advisory committee and then ultimately the village board. The timeline for this whole priorities, Peatone priorities plan and report is shooting for December 2020, but everything has been transitioned to online meetings and everything with COVID, and we've are already behind schedule. So shooting for December 2020, but adding a little bit of time there on the end, so March 2021 technically. So we will continually keep you up to date as we go through this process. And again, if you haven't been reached, you will be, probably for a short discussion, to get your input, because that's very important.
Has everybody gotten emails about setting up appointments and all that? Perfect. Good.
Thanks.
All right. Any questions? Any questions for the village administrator? If not, we'll go down to the engineer report. Troy couldn't make it here today. Did he have anything?
He
to
didn't
say?
have anything, no.
Okay. Public Works report, I told Bob to go out and take care of any blown down trees or branches after our little windstorm, so do you have his report?
I have his report, and he said he is out assessing and taking care of the damage along with the other men in the department. They split the town into 3 and then are kind of working inward together. So he says the damage is minimal at this point from what he can tell, but I'm sure we'll learn more tomorrow. So he did meet with Robinson today on the resurfacing aspect of Corning Avenue. And he said that as far as from Robinson's perspective, everything's moving along on schedule for September to start their part of the work. So I'm glad to hear from Aqua that everything sounds good, and then that it should all align and we should be good to go. So we'll stay on top of that, keeping tabs tabs on the progress. He did look, as we're going through and updating the branch pickup policy, to which we're going to be starting to market shortly, he's been researching the surcharge for larger tree parts. And he has only found that Bradley does it and puts it on the sewer bill. Their cost there, he's trying to research cost for us to possibly do it. And he's only found that Bradley's the only one he has found so far that does it, and they only add a $50 to $100 charge at their own discretion. So I think we need to probably find a little bit more information on that to see what kind of suits our purposes and what we're trying to accomplish, and maybe get a little bit more information from Bradley. For the new Public Works building, we're trying to get our permanent occupancy. We have an extended temporary occupancy until the beginning of September. Well, until Labor Day, so that we can finish our landscaping, which is the only thing we have left to do. So we've been trying to get the trees and some of the landscaping material, plant material that are required by our plans, by Will County zoning code. It's been hard to source the materials in this climate. There's not a lot out there, but we have found it. We're gonna purchase it, and we're gonna wait to plant it until, the weather is better, so that we have a better chance of survival for it. So we also have to make the fence so that you can't see through it. We have to, we have to do that according to their code, because their code just changed right after we bought the building. So we have to create that barrier, visual barrier. So we bought slats to put into the existing fence. And it's gonna be a little bit labor intensive to put those in, but we have bought the slats. They're gonna be in this week, and we're gonna start putting those in immediately. So that's the update on that. The phones are out there. We're still waiting for gas, and that's all the report we have for that, for Public Works.
Okay. Any questions on any of that? All right, the treasurer's report, Marcy was out of the office today, but hopefully you guys had a chance to look at her 3-month budget review that was in your box. I would really encourage everybody to, look through this. I want you all to feel comfortable asking questions about it, and because it's really important that we keep a close eye on our finances all the time, but especially in these times that are a little tough because of the impact of the virus. So I think Amy wanted to go over a couple items in there that felt was important, so go ahead, Amy.
Okay. This is, Marcio, her memo is referring to the 3-month budget management report. So she's put together a nice general summary for you. So as Mayor said, it's really, really informative, and she gives you a lot of analysis in the memo. And the budget report goes by department. So I don't know, you probably don't all have it with you, so I won't go through line item by line item, but it gives you by the month. The budget management report for June 2020 gives you a really good snapshot into where we are with our budget. So we have our actual budgeted number, the month actual that we've spent, the actual to date, and then you can see the prior year to date. So it's a really good comparison of where we are. Are we in line with where we should be? So it's a good tool for you to kind of get a feel for where we are 3 months in, but this is a month snapshot, and it's by department. So it's really kind of drills down and gets you where you want to be. So for for example, on the police section, you can see where some of what you guys, on a policy level, you can see it kind of come into fruition in some of these line items. Police pension payment, for example, you can kind of see where the month actual is increased versus the prior year to date, because from much discussion through many, many AOC meetings, you made a policy decision to increase that pension payment, so you're seeing it actualized in this line item. So in Public Works, for example, in the sidewalk maintenance, you can see that the actual that we spent is like $85,000, when the prior year to date, we only spent $2,000, so that might kind of trigger your thought process and go, well, what's going on there? But if you recall, like in my report, and maybe in a few Public Works committee meetings, that's that DCO sidewalk grant where we had to pay for it up front and we'll get reimbursed later. So that kind of throws our budget numbers off. But that's a deep dive into that. But that's where a report like this is really good to kind of take a look at, and gives you an idea of what's going on. I asked Marcy to, just so it kind of keeps you guys on track and you know what to expect from reporting, for financial reporting, just to give you a report schedule. So you get her report monthly, and then you'll get the quarterly report, and then this is a budget management report, so you'll get this, the 3-month, and you'll get a 6-month and a 9-month. So this is a little bit more in-depth than some of these other ones, so that's about all I had on that.
Okay.
But if you have any questions or any of these things, look, you want to dig a little deeper, ask any question. If we don't have I don't have the answer, I will find out for you.
Yeah, I really want to encourage the trustees to, like I said, if you have a question about something, feel free to ask it. Same thing with the bills, we need to be looking into these things and, figuring out how to, spend as little as possible. So feel free to ask any questions. One thing I did want to point out in her report on the second page, where it talks about the Business Development District, TIF 1, TIF 2. We actually have some money in those funds now. Further down in the paragraph, it says, currently the general fund has been paying the bills for these 3 funds as they get established. And then at the end of the first quarter, TIF 1 owes the general fund, TIF 2 owes BDD. So there's no regulation or anything that says the general fund has to be reimbursed from those districts. So I just want you guys to understand that. So, we set this up and we use general funds to set these up so that we could then have funds available to promote economic development in these districts. So I just want you to keep that in mind, that my opinion is that the board wants to use those funds to promote development in these districts, and so paying the money back to set them up, to me, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So just wanted to put that out there. All right, any questions on that? Perfect. We don't have any old business, new business. Special events, Old Mill Fall Festival was street closure. Anybody from the Historical Society here? Let's see. So in your packet there was permit application. They want to have their usual Old Mill Fall Festival, and they want to close Corning, I believe, right? One lane westbound from Conrad to Mill Street. Did you ever talk to them about the street, possible, there might be construction going on?
I did. I think both Donna and I both talked to her, and I told her, I said, I think we wouldn't want that street closed totally, so, and I cannot predict when or what section is gonna be closed. I think we would wanna just keep in contact with her and kind of work it out,
Okay.
with the chief, and make sure that we've got
Okay.
good accessibility, but still trying to work with her and meet her needs as well.
All right, so I guess I would entertain a motion to approve this with the caveat that Corning construction may not allow for the street closer. We'll have to determine that at the time.
I'll motion it. Second.
It's been moved by trustee Maravka, second by trustee Sluse.
Maravka? Yes. Sluse? Yes. Parker?
Yes.
Bowden?
Yes. Next, we have a special event permit application from the Peatone Car Club. They'd like to do a car cruise. Like to go ahead.
Hi, so we recognized that...
Name, please?
Oh, sorry, Andrea Aaron's for
Thanks.
the Peatone Car Club.
Thank you.
We recognized that our event on July 25th was fairly successful, and it did very well for the town. And so we'd like to capitalize that, and we've also increased our online presence by going ahead and moving forward. So by capitalizing on that, we'd like to have a cruise in. It's different than a show. People would just kind of drive in and park on 2nd Street. We'd like to do it Saturday, September 12th, from 3 to 7 p.m. We would only like to close 2nd Street at Main, and then north in front of the Legion. So only 2nd Street from Main to Crawford, and then just North Street in front of the Legion. We would have a DJ. It's in our usual spot in that little park area right on the corner of 2nd and North. And rather than charge admission for people to pull into park, we are going to collect pet supplies for local shelters. We are in contact with South Suburban Humane Society, NAWS, and the Will County Humane Society. And for people to park their vehicles, they would literally pull up to our entrance at Main and 2nd, and they would offer us a pet supply that is on a wish list of one of these humane societies. And we have decided to call this Tails and Taillights.
So you're also requesting a one-day liquor license too?
Yes, we're not going to sell though. We would just like our usual open liquor so that people can frequent local businesses and have a cocktail while they look at cars.
And are you going to be doing, you did the cruise afterwards? You're not going to
No cruise this time,
Okay.
just driving and park.
Okay.
We figure with nice weather, if by chance, and even with the required mask coverings, we feel that we can, safely social distance. Again, on a classic car event, it's not too hard to do. And of course, we'll follow all CDC guidelines, and we will purchase a porta potty for our same event, like we did just the show, and a hand washing station. And then, of course, we'll encourage everybody to follow all CDC and IPH guidelines.
Okay. Any questions?
I just had a quick question.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is applicable to you. I just had an inquiry from a business. Did you guys, on your last show, did you put stickers on the sidewalk?
No,
Okay.
we used sidewalk chalk
Okay,
and the spray sidewalk chalk,
okay,
and we marked 6-foot distancing.
Okay,
So a lot of people were like, what is that? Yeah, no, those were 6-foot distancing marks, so
Got
that
it.
everybody could recognize how far apart 6 foot was.
okay.
If there's a request to do that again, we can. If not, we're gonna bypass, because we don't think the turnout will be as big for this as it was for the show. The show has 33 years. of,
No, the issue was that a business didn't like it after it was over. So,
Yeah,
so you're bypassing it.
Yeah, we're not going to do that this time, but it is washable.
Okay.
Yeah, a bucket of water would wash that off.
Any other questions? Can we approve these all in one motion?
Yes, if the motion recites all three, they want an amplifier permit and a Class 2 one-day liquor license.
But technically, it isn't a liquor license. What they're asking for is just to open liquor in the street, so that's not technically a liquor license.
Well, that wouldn't be, but we're not selling any liquor then.
No, we're not selling any liquor. We want the opportunity for our local businesses to be able to sell the drinks and food to patrons.
So
Out in the street?
So the street's going to be blocked off.
Yeah.
Well, that's actually for the other business owners and not for them.
Chief, what do you think?
We did it for the car crews,
Yeah.
and we're fine.
Yeah.
We've never had any drama with that. There was no really, everybody picked up after themselves, and you wouldn't ever know they were there.
Did you get a liquor license last time?
No, we just,
Okay. So I guess I would entertain a motion to approve this car club cruise on September 12th with street closure and the amplifier permit.
Yes.
And no liquor. Yeah.
No liquor,
Well, not the liquor license, right?
but you're gonna approve open liquor in the street.
Yes.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, been moved by trustee Bowden, seconded by trustee Maravka.
Bowden?
Yes.
Maravka? Yes. Sluse?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
You too.
Okay, next is just a discussion. We got a notice from the Illinois Municipal League with a proposed ordinance requiring face covering in public setting. And I just wanted to throw it out to you guys just to talk about this a little bit. I also took the liberty of drawing up a letter that we might want to just send out to business owners. Just to kind of give you an update, I mean, back in May, the governor, gave a mandate that, people should be wearing masks in public settings when you can't social distance. And then more recently, last week, he proposed that local municipalities could impose warnings and fines on businesses if they were not, if they had customers or employees that weren't following these guidelines. So I just kind of wanted to throw it out there, see what, the board feels about all this and see if we want to do anything at all.
I thought the letter was extremely well written and makes it the point that we just need to cooperate and get along. I don't see any problem with sending that to businesses and asking for their support.
Yeah, because I don't think it's violating anybody's civil rights, asking them to wear a mask going into stores and everything like that. I don't think that's a problem.
But like I said, I don't feel, it doesn't sound like anybody's really in favor of, passing an ordinance or having police go in there and do anything like that, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
Is it up to each individual business to require that? Or are you asking them to make,
encourage masks or require them to have masks, customers coming in?
Well, I don't know if you had a chance to look at the letter, but
I did.
We're not, we're strongly encouraging them to abide by the guidelines that have been set out by the state. So, we're not gonna go in and give out tickets or anything like that, but we just want to strongly encourage them that they follow those guidelines. Is that what you were asking, or?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is maybe kids in general, riding bikes around, going to get ice cream, doing those sorts of things. Are they gonna have to tell them that the kids can't come in unless they have a mask on? I mean, my kids go to the ice cream place sometimes twice a day without me knowing it, but
Yeah.
again, they're not riding around with masks in their pockets either.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they should be, but, and also the businesses, a lot of them will provide masks, so,
So the state has issued mandates.
yes,
They're not asking, they're telling everybody they have to wear a mask.
right.
We're not adding anything additional to that.
No, not at all.
So we're just asking you to follow the state's rules. That's all we're saying, right?
Yeah.
I think it's just basically up to the people who own the business can say, hey, can you please wear a mask? The people coming in, yeah, they can either go there or not, or they can just be like, well, no, I'm not gonna wear it. So, I don't know, I guess it would be up to the business owner to serve them or not. You can't really tell somebody they cannot come in without a mask on, or, you know what I'm saying, like, you can't tell somebody,
The majority of businesses
have the sign up.
have this sign up and do require it,
Right.
but I know there are some that don't.
And I guess my personal opinion is people should be following, not because the government says so, because it is the right thing to do. And so I feel that just by sending the letter out, let me put it this way, if we don't do anything, I feel like we're just complicit in that, well, it doesn't really matter, we don't really care what's going on. So I just thought, by sending a letter out, maybe makes some business owners think a little bit, and maybe, there'll be a little more compliance out there. So, did you see any problem with sending, did you see the letter at all, or?
I didn't see it, but I get the tenor of it, and no, absolutely not. That'd
Okay.
be fine.
Okay.
Telling people to follow the guidelines.
Right. All right, do we need a motion or anything, or can we just send it out as a letter from me, or?
Well, it can be, but it would be,
It would
if
be
it's coming
nice.
from the board,
Yeah.
then it should be a motion to approve the letter and authorize the mayor to send it out on behalf of the village board.
That's my motion, I'll so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by trustee Bowden, second by trustee Parker.
Bowden,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Sluse,
Yes.
and Marevka.
Yes.
Okay, next, the letter, approval of letter to Laraway Communications Center rescinding our intention to withdraw, letter dated November 19, 2019. So, just to refresh everybody's memory, Laraway Communications Center is who takes our calls for police and fire, and there was some issues going on at the end of last year, and some of the communities here on the eastern side of the county got together, and we sent a letter saying that we were going to withdraw. And so some of those issues have been taken care of, and so now we want to rescind that letter, correct?
Correct.
So, any questions on any of that at all?
Before, when the letter was sent, trying to leave the LLC, what would have happened as far as business as usual go?
Well,
Cover the slack.
It was mostly just a statement. We really didn't have a choice of going somewhere else. And so it really was just kind of exclamation point, could you please work on your issues? And also we did it in numbers.
So there were other villages that were?
Yes, and there were other villages, like the mayor said, on the eastern side of Will County, there was many fire departments, many police departments, so it was kind of, we worked on that as a group to say, we're gonna do this as, a show of our displeasure with some things going on. But no, it's not like we could have just kind of walked away and go back to Westcom.
So there was no plan B?
Not really, no, but
it did get their attention, something's
It
changed,
did,
so that's a
and-
good thing, so.
there is provisions that you can, find alternatives, but there are, we have a contract and we'd end up having to pay for the new portion of the new building that we're in if we leave. So, if you really, really, really are serious, you can find alternatives, but it wouldn't have been good for us.
So anyway, other villages have rescinded their letters and we're just this kind of formality.
You
to do
fixed
that, so.
everything. Right.
All right? So I'll entertain a motion to approve this letter.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, moved by trustee Parker, second by trustee Maravka.
Parker,
Yep.
Maravka?
Yep.
Sluse?
Yep.
And Bounded.
Yes.
Okay, next, resolution for a liquor license fee reduction in fiscal year 2021-22 for certain license holders. Pat, do you want to address this, because this came up in the AOC?
Yeah, so this
meeting?
came out of ALC. The crux of it is that we didn't reduce the liquor fees for places that were closed during the COVID shutdown. And there was a feeling of the AOC board that, maybe this is a good faith, gesture that we're making to those businesses for next year, that we would reduce their fees just to, alleviate some of the sting and just let them know that we do appreciate them staying open and fighting through this, and, hopefully that they'll be around next year to get these reductions. So that was kind of the feeling of the board. Committee, sorry.
This is a 25% reduction.
Next year. Yeah.
When it's,
So it doesn't affect this year's budgets or anything like that.
Right.
So Marcy can put it in for next year.
when it says certain license holders, like, is it just the bars, or is it everybody who sells liquor?
So it's Fire Pit,
A, B, and
Game
B?
On, Legion,
Mhm.
Bowl, Susie's, Tony's, Vegas, Cafe, and Wolf County Fair. Everybody who was closed.
Okay.
So we didn't want to make it all liquor license because like the supermarket was still open.
Right, and so gas
Casey's,
stations and
right.
stuff. Okay.
And just so that you know, Trustee Ham wanted to let you guys know that he was not in favor of this, that, at our AOC meeting, it was a split vote, it was 2-1, but, so.
Did he say why he was not in favor of it?
What did he say?
He said that he just didn't think it would help.
Yeah,
Didn't find it necessary.
that it wasn't necessary, so.
And then Sammy's is not on here because they're closed, and the New Mexican restaurant is on here because they opened
After the whole thing, okay. Oh, do you want a motion?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we okay this resolution for the liquor license fee reduction for next year.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved by trustee Maravka, second by trustee Bowden. This would be resolution 20-R05.
Marevka?
Yes.
Bowden?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
And Sluse?
Yes.
All right, questions of the press, there are none here. Couple of things I just want to update the trustees on. I did meet with Scott Sells of, he came here a few meetings ago, the beautification committee, starting to get that started. I had a nice discussion with him, just told him to, keep us informed of any plans that they have. I encourage everybody to, fill out their census forms if they haven't yet. It's really important that everybody gets counted. Our motor fuel tax or motor vehicle fuel tax funds are based on population. So, everybody who's not counted, that means we get less money to fix our roads. So I believe that people are actually going out, starting, if they haven't already, starting very soon to knock on doors, people who haven't yet answered the questions, the survey. So people are aware of that. The Rebuild Illinois bond grants, we kind of talked about this in the past. We are going to receive eventually, it's probably a total of $270,000 over a period of 3 years. We received the first two payments already, $45,000 each, so we're at $90,000. Over the next 2 years, we're supposed to get another $180,000. Those can be used only on what are called bondable projects, and I'm not real sure of the definition of that, but it includes things like roads, and we also thought that possibly we could spend it on a streetscape project for the downtown. So if we did the roads, and then we could also expand it to include, sidewalks or planters or seating, that type of thing. So you may hear some more of that in the future. So I think that might be a really good, and we could also throw TIF funds in there to make that look nicer there. So hopefully we can spend that money wisely. We talked a little bit about the Public Works building. I was out there last Friday with Trustee Jones and Bob, and we just looking at, I would encourage everybody, we probably should have a time where we can all go out there and look at that. I mean, the remodeling turned out really nice. We're trying to get Bob to move out there. He's got to buy a little bit of furniture for his office, but he needs to get out there and use that building. It's a really nice, a nice facility. I was going to have Bob, I want to give everybody a tour of the Village Hall complex here, because I've gotten a tour over the last couple of weeks. I've been seeing a little bit more of the building every time, and I think it's real important that you guys really see what's going on here in the building and how kind of cut up and, just kind of patched together it is. And also see the space where the Public Works is right now, and they're going to be vacating that, and maybe we have some ideas on how to maybe move the building department to where they are, so they have a little more space than they do right now. But so maybe after the next board meeting we'll do that. It'd be nice if everybody's here too. So just kind of see where everything's at, get to see the nice basement that we have here, and so. Yeah, I know, so, who knew the Village Hall had a basement, but anyway. So that's kind of my report. Does anybody else have anything for the good of the board?
The one gentleman, the beautification.
Yes.
Can he help at the Public Works building at all as far as the plans to go, or